Hi, I'm Dan Veal. Welcome to licklibrary.com. Okay, so you've got your first new bass and you want to get playing it as soon as possible. Hopefully with this lesson we'll be looking at some different techniques and aspects of playing to get you on your feet as soon as possible. Okay, first of all, let's get your bass in tune. As you can see, up at the headstock end, 4 keys, they're tuned to a specific note, and we're going to work through the bass so you can tune along in this lesson to it. So grab your bass, we're going to start tuning up now. Okay, the largest string of the 4 is E, and just grab the tuning key and you can tune along to me. Interestingly, if you turn your tuning key in an anti-clockwise direction, it will actually cause the note to go up, whereas I know that some people expect that when you tune in a clockwise direction, you expect it to go up naturally, like turning a screwdriver. So, grab hold of that key, here's the E note. You need to turn the key until you hear your E note match this one. Remembering clockwise will detune. Do the same for the A string. That's the next string along. Okay, and we'll do the same for the D string. And then finally onto the G string. Okay, and you can rewind this lesson and go back over those notes just to make sure that your bass is in tune at any time. Okay, so hopefully your bass is in tune. We can now work on making sure that you're comfortable as well, ready for playing. If you're sat down, get a nice comfortable chair, something where you sit nice and square with your bass sat on your lap. If you're playing with a strap, personally, I like to set the strap at the same length so when I stand up with the bass, it stays in the same position. Now that might not look a bit too rock to some people, but when it comes to playing a 2-hour gig, it's best to be as comfortable as possible. Okay, we're going to look over at some of the hardware on the bass guitar now, just to familiarise yourself with the instrument, how it all goes together and how it works. We've already looked at the tuning keys and how to tune up the bass. Let's go back down the other end and have a look at the bridge end. Okay, the 4 strings are anchored via the bridge up at the body end of the guitar. And there are 4 saddles which set the height of each string. Now this is fairly critical because if they're too low, your notes will buzz and you'll not get a great tone out of every note you play. Too high, and it can actually be difficult to actually pull the strings down onto the fretboard with your left hand and can also make it difficult. However, I know that some old Motown players used to like to have their strings high enough you could possibly drive a bus under. Okay, moving along, we've got the pickups. Now these come in all different shapes and sizes and different positions on different basses. Now this is all for different sounds, and some people actually prefer certain types of pickups to rest their fingers on, but we're going to talk about that a bit more later when we come to play. Okay, moving down the bass, we've got the controls. Now these will be in a different configuration for nearly every instrument you play, but they will all have certain things in common. Like, for example, a volume control on this bass, which, as you can hear, will allow you to turn the bass down, especially handy for in-between performances when you don't want to kind of be heard. A tone control, or some kind of equalizer, this will add treble or take away treble tones, Or you may have a bass control as well, which will add bottom end or take it away. This is especially useful for different techniques, like slap technique, where you might need a bit more of a thump from your amp, turn up the bass control. Or maybe you're after more of a Motown-y sort of lo-fi type bass sound, where you could roll the treble off. This will also do that. Some basses, as this one does, has a switch to flick between the different pickups. So in this position, this is a 3-pole switch. Position 1 will give me this pickup here. In the middle is a mix of the 2 pickups. And then finally, in the 3rd position, it's the last pickup on its own, near the bridge. Okay, so we talked about some of the hardware on the bass guitar. I'm now going to talk about ways in which that you can start playing and get used to the instrument itself. Earlier on, I just mentioned that you can anchor your fingers on the pickups. So let's talk a bit more about that. Some players prefer to play with a pick. I prefer to play with my fingers. It's completely down to your personal preference or what particular sound you're trying to get out of your instrument. A pick will make a more of a trebly sound, and fingers more of a rounded sort of tone. When you take your first sort of like notes on the bass, I think it's important to make sure that you've got somewhere good to anchor your thumb. Because if you can see from this example, if I play like this, it just seems a bit uncontrolled to me. And I don't think I'd be able to get any sort of speed out of playing like this. Anchoring your thumb down somewhere, on a string, or on a pickup, you'll notice a much stronger note. You can get your finger in anywhere you like, wherever it feels comfortable, on any pickup. If you're the sort of person who loves to run across the stage, it's probably good to have your fingers anchored somewhere, or otherwise you might let go of the bass altogether. As you can see there. And you can work 2 or 3 fingers into your picking style. It's completely up to you. I find that 3 fingers or more is good for building up speed. So, you can simply just play away, like this, with 2 fingers. Working across the bass. This is actually a good warm-up exercise. You can sit there with a metronome and maybe count along to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. As an example. Or 3 fingers. You can build up speed with a metronome. It's probably good advice on that one. Whether you use 2 or 3 fingers, or maybe just 1, is completely up to you. But it may help in some of the things you're playing with your left hand to help count them out. For example, if you're playing 1s, 2s, or 4s with your left hand, as an example here, it might be easier when you're beginning just to use 2 fingers. It keeps things very nice and simple and straightforward. You could even, for warm-up purposes, just use 1 finger. Three fingers. In that exercise, aim to keep every note as rounded as possible. A good tone is important. If you go out with a sloppy sort of playing tone, it doesn't sound great. Now, we've got a few exercises now where I'm going to work through working with a click track and just some simple warm-up exercises to get you familiar with playing with a drum kit, for example, and also some of the intervals which you'll be playing with rhythmically. Okay, now, exercise 1. I've got a click track set up with a basic drum beat. What I'm going to do is we're going to be working across the neck 4 notes. And each exercise will look like this. as you can see, every time I've been across the board once, I'm moving up 1 fret and then going across again, and then up a fret and across again. Now, the first exercise, I'll be playing a note per every beat of the bar. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. Exercise 2, we'll look at speeding things up a little bit. And we're going to play 2 notes per beat of the bar. So it'll look a little bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In exercise 3, we're going to speed up a little bit more as well. And we're going to end up playing 4 notes per beat of the bar. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And in the final exercise, we'll work out working diagonally across the board to help stretch your muscles a little bit. And that exercise will be in 2 notes per bar. And we'll do it like this, working across diagonally. You can see that. It'll look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. Okay, when you're ready, let's do exercise 1. Okay, excellent. Concentrate on making these notes as smooth as possible and each note to ring out at the same volume. We'll do the same now with exercise 2. Good. A little bit more taxing. We're going to go on to even quicker this time for exercise 3. Okay, the next exercise, we're going to have a bit of fun now and do a stretching exercise. We're going to play it a little bit slower, and this one is the diagonals that I was showing you earlier on. Now that exercise you can do in any position on the neck, it doesn't matter. You can jump from a single fret to 2 frets, or even 3 or 4, looking like this. Okay, so that wraps it up for the first lesson. We've looked at tuning and the hardware of the bass guitar and some warm-up exercises, and hopefully you got something good to take away with you. We'll see you again next time for the next lesson. Thanks a lot.